4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Happy Christmas Eve. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe for the information I'm about to provide to you. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you can see these future updates on this bike, because I have a lot to say. This is my second one of these that I've owned, and I have a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Well, hello, everybody. This is my 2005 ST1300. This is my second one that I've owned. I also owned another 05, but it was a police edition, and it was in a lot worse shape than this one. This one is almost absolutely perfect. It only has 4,000 miles on it. It is a 2005, was not driven very much. We're going to talk about everything that I love about these, because even though my police edition was pretty rough shape, it still was probably one of the best bikes that I've ever owned. And now that I've ridden this one in much better condition, with everything from my navigation system that I popped on there, all of it, it is just such a phenomenal machine, especially for the price. These bikes were pretty much discontinued because of low sales, and I get it. When these were first released, these bikes were very expensive. Honda did not hit you over the head hard with a massive price tag. They definitely charged a lot for these bikes when they were first released, and so they just didn't sell too many of them. And unfortunately, that caused a big decline in sales. And when that happened, they had no choice but to lower the price. And then they discontinued the model. I don't remember what they ran these to. I'll go ahead and put the exact years that the ST1300 ran until. So this was the replacement for the ST1100. And I've had a lot of time on these bikes because I had another one, and they are just such an amazing performing machine. They really are. Now, this one's obviously been washed and waxed and cleaned up real good, but as you can see, they definitely retain their looks if you care for them. Because, I mean, let's face it, this bike is what, 20 years old almost? It's like 19 years old, and it still looks phenomenal. Like the day it came off the lot, it still looks beautiful. And this was not 100% garage kept. This was actually put under an awning for most of its life from the guy I bought it from, but he did such a good job meticulously caring for it and making sure that it stayed in great shape. Now, obviously, this has some aftermarket stuff. I've got some aftermarket floodlights on there. I have an aftermarket navigation system. That's an aftermarket trunk on the back. Designed for this bike, though, because that has the light system on it, and that's designed to plug into this bike. So that was an accessory offer for this bike, but he bought that and put that on himself, because normally all it comes with is the hard packs. And if you guys are wondering, it takes 1 minute to pull all of the trunks off of this for sport riding. Literally, you just push down and put your key in, unlock that, pick up, that comes off. Same thing on that. Unlock that side, pull up, that comes off. Same thing with this. Push the lock key, the whole thing just slides backwards and then pops off, and you're ready to go hammer down with your buddies for a day of, you know, hitting the twisties and sport bike riding with your friends. And it is a reasonably well power managed bike. Okay, you're going to keep up with your average 600s and stuff like that. It still snaps a 0 to 60, 62 miles an hour, 62.4 miles an hour in around 3 seconds. So even though it's a 700-pound bike, it's definitely putting down a lot of power with that V4 engine that comes in. It's basically a car engine inside of this bike, hence it weighs like 750 pounds. But it manages that weight really well. If you've never ridden one of these are the most phenomenal bikes to ride if you can stand a heavier bike. Now, it only feels heavy when you're trying to maneuver the bike around and do things with it at slow rates of speed or pushing it out of a parking lot. Once you actually get this bike moving and you're driving around, you will barely even notice the weight of this bike. It is so well power managed. And like I said, it's no slouch. This bike is very quick for its size and weight. It is a very snappy bike. It is not quite as good as the FJR. The FJR feels a bit more sporty, but if you want reliability, power, speed, comfortability, these are one of the smoothest rides on the planet. It lives up to its Honda expectation of smoothness You know, there's no way for me to explain unless you actually jump on one of these and take it for a cruise how smooth it is. It is a shaft-driven bike as opposed to a chain or belt, and it just levies the power so well. You do not feel vibrations on this bike. You don't feel any. It's like riding a lazy boy down the highway, cruising. The wind management is also great. These side covers come out, and even on colder days, this diverts the wind around your legs, which are right here. This, when you push up, because this has power window, which we'll do together now. When you push this up, it does really, really well wind management around your helmet and head up to here. It does great. It just blows the wind right around you, and there's no problems. Like, you just don't feel anything. So even on cold days, this is a really good bike to ride. It also has heated handle grips, and you have a temperature control right here for your heated handle grips. This is one of those bikes where you literally will buy it and then never want to sell it. It's like a one ownership bike. You will never want to get rid of this once you've experienced it. And that's what I try to pardon off on everybody. This thing does really well in the turns. It does really well on the highway. It does great around town. It has no problems with two-up riding. It is just probably one of the best touring platforms ever made today. I really have no cons for this bike other than it is very heavy, and it's not going to be for everybody. When you have to push this bike out of a parking lot or out of a hard, tight spot in a parking lot, this bike can definitely get heavy. Putting it on the center stand, I'm a 215-pound guy. Getting this up on the center stand takes a lot of goomph to get it there. You really got to put your back into it. They even supplied you with a handle, which I'll show you on this side. They even supplied you with a handle to help you assist with that, a little pop-out handle that you grab and then you put down, right here, you push down and pull up, and man, you'll rip your shoulder out if you're, a smaller person. This one has the bare features. This one does not have. This is the minimal feature version. Some of these, if I remember correctly, did come with speakers up in here, and you could have a stereo system put in, but for the most part, this one did not come with that. Does have lots of storage. These storage compartments are actually really large. They go down to all the way to about right here. I've got everything from an air compressor in here, all my tools, and I still have room. There's also another one on this side where I put all my power cord wires and stuff, and of course I wired in my USB charge port for my phone over here so you can see that. And I also wired in this for my navigation system, so when I click it on, it turns on my navigation. And that is attached to the handlebars. So when I turn, it goes with the handlebars. It is not in the way of the cluster. As you can see, I can see the whole cluster when I'm sitting on the bike, and I can still access the key easily because my eyes, actually, this is not where my eyes would normally be. My eyes would be up there. So it's really easy to just reach down, put the key in, and turn. So the navigation system is great. If anybody had any questions about the navigation system, I was sent this product for review on my other motorcycle over here, and I just switched it to this bike with the Tour Performance mount, if you guys can see that right there, and it comes with a little ball. They're very expensive. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not. This Tour mount is about 200 bucks. I didn't have to put it on there. It came on the bike when I bought it, so that was really nice that I got that. But if you were going to buy it yourself, it is a little on the expensive side. So this bike gets around 45 miles to the gallon. It is one of the smoothest machines you will ever ride on the planet. You could ride this thing 500 miles all day without issue. I would suggest if you guys have the stock seat to get an upgrade seat, because these upgrade seats have awesome lower lumbar support and they just feel great for longer rides. And your passenger will appreciate if you do have the rear trunk, because it has the pad and they can lean against it. That is a huge plus for them. So it's definitely a big plus. I cannot say this enough. I'm not going to make a whole I'm going to ride this around video for you guys and talk while I ride, because I feel that's unnecessary. I can tell you everything I need to from the comfort of my driveway about this bike. If you purchase one of these, it will be the best motorcycle you ever own. Reliability, these things have been known to go for almost 500,000 miles without issue. Okay? The only thing I will stress off on you is be gentle on the clutch. Be gentle on the clutch. And change your clutch fluid every 2 years. Take it all out, put it all back in. Religiously keep up with your oil changes, okay? These bikes will go forever. And the reason I'm telling you about the clutch fluid is because this engine produces a ridiculous amount of heat. And the clutch connection point sits right next to where the exhaust is. And so it superheats that fluid. So every 2 years, you need to replace that fluid. Otherwise, you risk damaging the throwout bearing and it starts leaking fluid inside of the engine oil, and that's just not ideal. So that is the only real downfall con I have for this bike, is that you have to change the clutch fluid every 2 years. Okay? A full circulation and flushing of the clutch fluid. So I pretty much walked around this bike, I think, enough. I've given you my talk. It is a 6-speed. It's capable of like 145 miles an hour. Pretty quick bike. It's very nimble for its size and weight. I've seen these things at the GP tracks, and people ride these things like sport bikes. It's insane. They're not loud bikes. They're great for if you lived in an HOA that, you know, screams about loud exhaust and stuff. You're not going to deal with that with this bike unless somebody swapped out the pipes. And even then, most of the pipes I've heard are still reasonably quiet within 100 decibels. So even though it's a 1300cc engine, it is still very, very quiet for what it is. So I don't think you will not enjoy this motorcycle. It looks big, okay, and it is, but it rides reasonably like a sport bike. It's a very interesting machine from Honda. It is not quite a Goldwing, but it has the essence of a Goldwing and a sport bike. It's so intriguing. It is. And the price, you can pick these up for like, well, high end $6,000 or $7,000, depending on mileage and condition. Low end $2,000. That's going to be with high mileage and probably needing some TLC condition. Your settling point is around $3,500 to $4,000. That is going to be probably the best bang for your buck cruiser touring platform that you can get, that is going to offer you reliability, performance, and just all around years and years of great riding. So I wanted to find a better condition one than I had, because my original ST1300 was a police cruiser, and it definitely had been put through the works. It worked great, but there was a lot of stuff that was broken and just wasn't well cared for because it was owned by the police department. So that being said, as you can see, I did finally upgrade myself to a much better condition one. I spent a considerable amount of money getting one in this condition for the year. I probably could have bought one newer, but I wouldn't have gotten it with this kind of mileage. And honestly, overall, even the newer models that they did release of this, same body style, just slightly differences. I don't think they would have been in this kind of condition with this low mileage. So it was not a hard decision for me to make to buy this 2005, because as you can see, it's pretty much perfect. There's like nothing wrong with this bike whatsoever. So, yep. Anyways, guys, that is my general talk and discussion. I did a review on my other ST1300. Like I said, not necessary to do it on this one. This is going to be my pros and cons. The pros of this bike are that you will love this thing forever and never want to get rid of it. The cons are, I really only have one con. Now, two, it's a little on the heavy side for pushing around in a parking lot, and the fact that you have to constantly change the clutch fluid every year or 2 years is kind of a frustration, but general maintenance, that's how I look at it. Those are the only two cons I have. Other than that, phenomenal bike, fantastic. This is one of those bikes that you will love and never want to get rid of, and it will just continue to wow you with never breaking down, ever, anywhere. You'll be almost to a point where you'll be miserable because you see all these other bikers breaking down. You're like, oh, I want to participate in that breakdown. I wish my bike would break down. That's how reliable these are. I'm just kidding. You'll never get to that stage. Don't ever feel like you should either. This bike will almost guaranteed never offer you that kind of situation. So, all right, guys, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff, and I will catch you on the next video. We're going to start making some content with this. It's going to be fun. I'll catch you guys later.